Welcome to Checks and Balances, the Takeover. This is Jess. I'm Michaela, and today we're talking about the switch and save, how to cut your bills in half.
So we all know rising cost of living. We've been banging on about it for ages, and people are struggling. We want to find ways to save money. So we are today going to talk about ways that you can save money on your household bills.
I feel like as a Canadian living in New Zealand who's used to much more warm and insulated and double glazed homes.
We're getting there.
Is really important to me. You're kind of getting
We're
there.
slowly getting there.
Not enough. Not fast enough.
You're right.
The winters in New Zealand, like I know everyone thinks, New Zealand's warm and tropical, at least on my half of the world they do.
Do they?
But winters here can be quite cold and your bills go up, especially if you live in an old house like I do.
For sure. So you're not double glazed?
Nah, I've got those old wooden framed with the creaky, what do you call that, handle thing?
Yeah, I know.
It's terrible.
I know those handles. Yeah. Do you know what your power bill is a month, roughly?
I think in the summer it's about 300 a month. But this is the other thing, and this may again be the fact that I have not truly acclimatized yet. I blast the AC the entire summer, and I blast the heat the entire winter. I'm not a sweater in the house kind of person.
Oh, yeah. You just want to be 100% comfortable.
100% comfortable.
I think our power bill's and granted, our house is a lot smaller than yours and newer, but I think our power bill's like $130 a month.
That's a dream. I will not be compromising on insulation in my next home.
No,
FYI.
That's a hot tip. So what we want to go through today is some really good tips for you when working through your budget and your household bills to try and save some money. The first of those is to beware of the free offer.
The free offer.
Offer.
The free giant TV. Come on over. Free Samsung. Free phone. Free.
I was so tempted by the free TV. I think it was Mercury offering a free TV recently. And we actually did want and need a TV at the time. It's not a need. It's a want. And yeah, I actually sat and did the maths because you can look on your power apps and stuff and your bills to see how much power you actually use, and then you can calculate it. So all of these sort of tools, they let you go based on your household and based on how much power and how many people in the house, this is how much you're likely to spend. And the difference with the Switch was not worth it, the free TV. So
I wonder with I have never myself gone for one of those, here's a free electronic device offers from a company, but I wonder if they tack on any type of thing to make it worthwhile for themselves. Like surely you're not just truly getting a free TV. Like is there a margin on that power? I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. I think so. I think the power had to cost more. Also, I kind of want to choose my TV,
Fair.
I don't want your free TV.
Yeah.
I want to choose my TV. So that is one thing to really look out for. If you are going to take one of those deals, just do the math and make sure it makes sense for you and your situation, how much you're actually using in terms of power.
So bundled plans for your power, gas, internet. Sometimes these are advertised as a cost saving measure. Like for example, I bundle my insurance and that truly does save on costs, but that's not always the case with your power provider.
Yeah, which is quite counterintuitive. You would definitely think that it would.
But I guess that's probably what they're banking on is you think that bundling it is going to give you a discount. And if you're not actually calculating it out, okay, together it costs this much, separately it costs this much, what's the actual difference there? Then it's for them, the person that ignores that is an easy, I don't want to say easy prey, but
target. Yeah. Easy target. Yeah, no, totally. Another one is, so different companies approach the way that they charge you differently. So I know some places we're with Powershop, and I think I'm going to give myself the homework today to go and review that and see if I can get a better deal. Maybe just set aside a couple of hours on a weekend to go through this. I'm going to do it myself. But some power companies give you free power at certain times a day.
We use Electric Kiwi, and they do the hour of free power. And for us, that actually works really well because I run the heat pump heaps. And I also run the dryer a lot. And I have to say, just before I started talking about this, you and Emily said to me that you don't put your clothes in the dryer. And I'm really confused.
No way. So we have a dryer, but we only use it for towels and sheets, basically.
This is wild to me.
No.
Because
I feel like that's more normal.
I'm used to, so caveat, I won't put anything that's like delicate fabric or like says hang dry only on the tag in the dryer. But like my jeans, like basic t-shirts, any like gym clothes.
No, man.
They all go in the dryer.
No, man. That's why your power bill is $300. Oh, hold on. So let's go back to this hour of power. This is why we're talking about it. So do you get to choose when your hour of power is?
You do, but it has to be outside of peak time. So like that would basically be the couple hours when you're home from work. So like prime like dinner time kind of thing.
That you can't do it then.
Exactly. So I believe we have our hour free power set as 9 p.m. And that works
you
for
set
us.
it.
Yeah.
And it's every day.
Yes.
Wow.
So every day, 9 o'clock, there's an hour. It's either 8 or 9. I can't
And you guys
remember.
like quickly run around and
like,
charge all your
and
phones.
I blast the
Is
dryer.
This true? Is this true? You run around and you're like, right, now's the time I'm going to dry my hair, charge my phone, chuck the dryer on,
okay,
blah,
it's
blah,
not
blah.
that crazy, but it is the time that I would do things like the washing or things that I just know like really do a lot.
That is very interesting.
But I'm not like, that's not like the only time I'll charge my device.
No, we're not there. We're not running a budget that tight. Okay, cool.
But I also, sorry, I want to go back to, you said you use Powershop.
Yes.
So we tried Powershop a few years ago, and I found it quite odd because if anyone listening to this hasn't looked into Powershop before, their money saving, I'm going to call it a gimmick, is that you purchase individual bundles of power when they're on sale, kind of.
Yeah.
And you like load them up into your, I don't know.
Yeah, you get like
your
discount
basket.
packs basically, and then it like tops up your thing. But I think you're right. I think it makes you feel as if you're saving money. I am very interested to know, like, what would my bill be like? Based on now that I have like quite a bit of data of how much power I've been using. I've been in this house for a year. I'm going to go back through and
I
actually
feel like
see.
that needs to be your homework because when we were using it, it wasn't actually saving us anything. And it was, if anything, just super tedious because it felt like we had to go to the parking meter and put a couple of coins in every few days to like power the house.
I could be saving myself some money here. And you know the way I think of this, which a colleague has told me before, I really like the way he thought about it. He was like, if I spend an hour looking into this and sorting it out and I save myself $200 for the year, he's like, you just made $200 in an hour after tax.
That is a very nice way of
Isn't that a great way of looking at it? I'm like, I think a lot of people would think, oh, $200 over the course of a year, meh. But if you think all it took was an hour of effort to make $200.
An hour is probably a lot.
Yeah, that's being generous. Yeah.
Okay, so another option we have is fixed rate versus variable rate. And I'm not talking about mortgages, power plans in New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that fixed existed.
No,
or are you on fixed?
I did not either. And so the definition of a fixed rate plan with a power company is locking in your electricity rate for a term of time, 1 to 3 years, which can protect you, I guess, from price fluctuations. So very similar to a mortgage, obviously.
Totally, yeah. I've seen this happen too. Like when we were in London and the Ukraine war kicked off, everybody's power like tripled. It was really insane. And perhaps in New Zealand we're at less of a risk of that. I don't know enough about power grids and stuff to know, but certainly have seen that happen before, and it really blew out our budget and a lot of people's budgets in the UK.
Yeah. So that's like the main pro there is the price stability, and you know what you're going to pay. Cons to this are, again, similar to a mortgage. If you want to switch before the term is up, you're facing cancellation fees with the company.
Yeah, so it can be quite nice if you want certainty of what you're paying, much like a mortgage, and you want to be able to budget for a longer period of time. But yeah, there's risk with everything we do, right?
And then variable rate plans. I don't know, would I just call this like a normal power plan?
I think.
I've never met anyone that's on a fixed rate, although not like I discuss power with my friends. But, but definition of variable rate is essentially you're just paying whatever the cost of power is at the time. It fluctuates based on
what you
market conditions, power market conditions.
Yep, it would be.
So pros, flexibility, you're not having to cancel or change your contract, but pricing uncertainty, I guess, like what you just said, if something pops off that affects the power grid, then, potentially the cost goes way, way up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess this raises a good question, like, should you lock in a power rate? So if we're looking at what we've got in our notes here, the minimum term appears to be 1 year to lock in a power rate. So that's going to take you through all the seasons of the year. So it's not necessarily something you could just put in place for the winter when prices are likely to rise. But if you're really budget conscious and you're trying to cut those small things out, sometimes stability is more worth it to you than the actual, the chance that it could drop in cost. I'm that kind of person. Like, I'd rather know this is what I'm paying for X amount of time than have it be a surprise every month.
If you're not sure whether fixed or floating makes sense for you and your household, that's why budget tracking is so helpful, is that I can very easily, quickly log in to my Pocketsmith and see trends over time. I can see how much I've spent on average across the year and each month, etc. It's super easy. If any of my clients are listening to this and you want me to show you how to do that, let me know. But yeah, speaking of fixed and floating, you know a little bit about that?
Saving on power is great, but what about your mortgage? At Lighthouse Mortgages, we can help you choose the best interest rate for your situation. If that sounds like you, click on the show notes below. Now back to the episode.
Right, when we're thinking about saving on costs, Powerswitch, which is brought to us by Consumer NZ, is a very helpful tool for comparing gas providers. So these comparison tools can be super useful, and they quite often are asking you questions like, I said about the household size, how much power and gas you're currently using. You can plug in your numbers and they will spit out a result of what power provider is best for you at that time.
And I think we also have to touch on the fact that loyalty doesn't do you any favors with these kinds of companies. They're not going to give you a discount for staying with them long term. So it is very much on you to keep reviewing your options, because it's not going to change if you just stay where you are.
Yeah, they rely on our complacency. And if you're just chilling with your one provider, they're just going to keep charging you, whereas other providers are going to have deals and offers and different things that you could take advantage of. So like I said before, think of it as you spend half an hour to an hour looking at this, you save yourself a couple of $100, you've just earned that money effectively, if you think about it that way. Another massive one, and this we come across all the time with clients with financial plans, people are overpaying on insurance or they are overinsured. That is something that you should be regularly reviewing. And we're talking at least once a year. And this is, has your situation changed? Is your provider still suitable for you? Are the premiums something you could get cheaper elsewhere and you're not going to lose anything in the move? You don't just switch insurance willy-nilly like that. You shouldn't be doing that, especially with personal insurance, because you could have exclusions, loadings, terms and conditions applied. But that is why working with a financial advisor like what we do give insurance advice, is so important. You've got someone looking over all this stuff and it's free. It's just like a mortgage advisor. You don't have to pay the advisor for their service because they get paid by providers. So it's definitely worth speaking to somebody about this at least once a year.
Yeah, I guess unlike switching your power company, switching your insurance, you can actually have someone professional help you, which
lean
is
on them. Yeah.
I think final thoughts on this: staying proactive on your utility costs, your insurance costs, those reoccurring things can lead to decently significant savings as long as you stay on top of it. It's on you to check those things regularly and make sure that you're saving yourself money.
Take responsibility. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening to today's episode, brought to you by Lighthouse Financial. Don't forget to like, review, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.